For me, the question of the death penalty in America is not a question that can be answered by asking, do people deserve to die for the crimes they've committed? I think the threshold question is, do we deserve to kill? For the last 30 years, I've been representing people on death row, people who have been unfairly sentenced or wrongly convicted, thousands of mentally ill people in jails and prisons, and children who've been prosecuted as adults. We've never had more wrongly convicted, more innocent people in jails and prisons than we have right now. Our prison population went from 300,000 in 1972 to 2.3 million today. We now have the highest rate of incarceration in the world. We've now had 154 people proved innocent after being wrongly convicted and sentenced to death. That means that for every 9 people we've executed, we've identified 1 innocent person. That's a shocking rate of error. But we tolerate this error rate in the death penalty because we do labor under the myth that it's not going to affect us. Well, it's affecting a lot of people. The legacy of segregation was a very definitive and really significant force in my early years. The beaches were segregated to the libraries and public facilities, and that legacy was something that deeply affected my family.
History is the long story.
You know, I became a lawyer without ever having seen one who looked like me. We created this project that's about trying to change the way we talk about race and poverty, even though I hadn't seen a project trying to do that in the Deep South. I went to Atlanta, Georgia, to work with a group called the Southern Center for Human Rights. They asked me to go to death row and meet someone and just explain to him that he wasn't at risk of being executed. And I was so nervous. Eventually they brought the man to the room and he was just covered with chains. He had handcuffs on, he had shackles on his ankles. And I walked up to him and I said, "I'm so sorry, I'm just a law student. I don't know much about the death penalty, I don't know much about criminal law, I don't know much about appellate procedure, but they sent me here to tell you that you're not at risk of execution." And when I said that, the man said, wait, say that again. And I said, "They sent me here to tell you that you're not at risk of execution anytime in the next year." And that's when the man grabbed my hands and he said, "You know, I can't tell you what it means to me that you're here." He says, "Now I'm going to see my wife. Now I'm going to see my kids." He actually started singing a hymn. "I'm pressing on the upward way, new heights I'm gaining every day, still praying as I'm onward bound." And then he said, "Lord, plant my feet on higher ground." And I think hearing that song really changed my thinking about what I might be able to do as a lawyer. One of the challenges of our system is that we have a system that treats you better if you're rich and guilty than if you're poor and innocent. I'm persuaded that wealth shapes outcomes more than culpability. One of the early cases I worked on involved a man who was a Vietnam War veteran, who came back with a lot of issues. And then I went down to be with him before this execution. And we were standing there talking and he looked at me and says, "Bryan, you know, it's been such a strange day." He said, "All day long, people have been asking me, what can we do to help you?" He said, "More people have said, what can I do to help you in the last 14 hours of my life than they ever did in the first 19 years of my life. Where were they when you returned from Vietnam, traumatized and drug addicted and in need of mental health services?" Those kinds of questions resonating in my mind. This man was pulled away, strapped in the electric chair, and executed. I believe that each person is more than the worst thing that they've ever done. And I tell my clients, we've got to work on the other things you are and make sure we're nurturing the things about you that are beautiful and strong and powerful and redemptive and changeable and hopeful, because that's how human beings grow. So that's my mission. I really want to get in the heads and hearts of kids and persuade them that they can believe things they haven't seen, they can do things that maybe others haven't done before them, that they are more than their worst side.